They said you wrote 2 verses for Diddy. One was the Let's Get It, and the other one was on the I Get Money remix.
Yeah,
but they said you wrote it and it's him confessing the crime.
50 Cent breaks his silence and reveals why he believes Diddy should face the harshest consequences, pointing to shocking claims, courtroom moments, and years of bad blood. The truth sounds wild, but is it enough to change everything right now? Join us to find out. Cold War energy. Back in the 1990s, the hip-hop world was small but loud, and everybody knew everybody. Curtis Jackson, later known as 50 Cent, and Sean Combs were both climbing fast. They moved in the same circles, saw the same faces, and heard the same whispers from people who thought they should team up. The energy was there, but it was never warm. It was business first, feelings last, and that tone never really changed. 50 helped behind the scenes on Combs' 2001 hit, Let's Get It. At the time, Combs was dating Jennifer Lopez, and she also pushed the idea that working with 50 could be smart. From the outside, it looked like a link that could turn into a real bond. From 50's side, it never felt like that. He saw Combs as a work contact, not a friend. There were no hangouts, no parties, no late nights, just chilling. If they did not talk, there was no hurt, no loss, and no emotion attached. 50 made it clear that he stayed in his own lane. He never felt close to Combs and never tried to be. In his eyes, Combs was a businessman who knew how to move around the industry and sometimes walked away with praise for work other people helped create. 50 saw himself as creative at heart. That difference mattered to him. He did not enjoy that business-heavy style, so he stayed away from personal ties and kept things distant. As the years passed, that distance turned into open tension. In 2006, 50 dropped a diss track called The Bomb. The song carried heavy energy and serious claims. In it, 50 suggested that Combs knew who eliminated Christopher Wallace, better known as the Notorious B.I.G. Wallace was more than a star. He was Combs' close friend and artist. His death shook hip-hop forever. Wallace was shot in Los Angeles in March 1997 while traveling with his team. Combs was nearby, but not in the same vehicle. To this day, no one has been charged for the crime. The loss left scars on the culture, and any hint or claim tied to it was bound to cause outrage. 50 also hinted that his words would get him banned from Combs' famous white parties in the Hamptons, a slick way to show he did not care about being welcome. 50 later shared that he also believed Combs had links to the 1996 elimination of Tupac Shakur. These were heavy accusations, and Combs strongly rejected them. He said the claims made no sense and pointed out that he had never been charged in either case. Still, 50's voice was loud, and his fans listened closely every time he spoke. The beef did not stay only in music. It spilled into business, especially in the liquor world. In 2007, Combs became the face of Ciroc Vodka through a partnership with Diageo. That deal ran for years until January 2024, when both sides split after a lawsuit that ended in settlement. Diageo took full control of the brand, and Combs moved on. 50 watched closely and made his own move. In 2016, he teamed up with F and Vodka and proudly supported it whenever he stepped into nightlife. 1 year later, he sold his shares for $60 million, but kept talking about the deal long after. He often compared Afen to Ciroc, saying his choice was cleaner and smarter. To him, this was proof that he played the game better. Combs brushed off these jabs. He said he never felt real beef from 50 and believed the shots were jokes more than hate. He laughed them off and said they never needed to cross paths. From his side, there was no anger, just distance. 50, however, kept poking, both online and in interviews. His sharp humor and trolling style made Combs an easy target, from music talk to age jokes. For a long time, many fans thought it was all marketing. Both men were powerful, both had brands, and both competed in similar spaces. The rivalry felt loud but controlled. That changed in November 2023 when Combs was sued by Cassie Ventura. She accused him of violation in 2018 and abuse during their long on-and-off relationship. The case later settled, but the damage was done. After video footage tied to the situation surfaced and federal agents searched Combs' homes in Miami and Los Angeles in March, 50 turned up the heat. He posted online, hinting that authorities do not move like that without a strong case. The word spread fast and added fuel to the fire. The tension even pulled in family. Christian Combs, also known as King Combs, released a song in May 2024, backing his father and firing shots at critics like 50. During the home search, Christian and his brother Justin were briefly detained but not charged. Combs' lawyer later criticized the force used during the search and spoke out about how the family was treated. King Combs used his music to defend his father and questioned why 50 was given so much attention. 50 answered back with sarcasm online, pretending to be scared by the record. The post was later deleted, but the moment had already landed. But things are about to get interesting for 50, just as the world was about to turn against Diddy. When the doors slammed shut, the story of Sean Combs took a wild turn in May of 2017. That was when his former personal chef, Cindy Rueda, stepped forward in Los Angeles County with a lawsuit. She said her workplace became toxic and that she faced pressure and payback after she spoke up. The case did not make loud noise at first. It moved quietly through the system. By February of 2019, both sides reached a private settlement. No numbers were shared. No details were released. The matter ended behind closed doors, and life seemed to move on. For a while, things stayed calm. Then, everything cracked open. Cassie Ventura, someone deeply tied to Combs for many years, came forward. On November 16, 2023, she filed a lawsuit that shook the entire music world. She accused Combs of abuse, trafficking, and violence. The lawsuit also said Combs was involved in the explosion of Kid Cudi's car, who was her boyfriend at that time. The claim spread fast and hit hard. The industry froze. But just one day later, the case vanished. Both sides reached another private settlement, and the lawsuit was dropped almost as fast as it appeared. That silence did not last long. 1 week later, on November 23rd, 2 more women filed lawsuits. They accused Combs of assault and of sharing private videos as revenge. One woman said that back in either 1990 or 1991, Combs and Aaron Hall harmed her. She also claimed the moment was recorded. With each new filing, the walls around Combs started to close. The pressure grew. The quiet became loud. Things exploded again on May 17, 2024. CNN released hotel surveillance footage from March 5, 2016. The video showed Combs physically attacking Cassie in a hotel hallway at the Intercontinental in Century City. This was one of the claims already mentioned in her lawsuit. Now, the world could see it with their own eyes. 2 days later, Combs posted a video online. He said he was deeply sorry and admitted his actions could not be defended. The apology landed, but it did not stop what was coming. A federal indictment in September 2024 added more weight. It said hotel workers stepped in during that attack and that Combs later tried to bribe them. That claim made the situation even darker. The story was no longer just talk. It had layers, witnesses, and records. By October 1st, 2024, the scale of it all grew massive. A report said a team of lawyers was preparing as many as 120 new lawsuits connected to Combs. These cases reached back into the 2000s and the 2010s. The lawyers said the people coming forward were both men and women. About 25 of them were minors at the time. Many said they had already reported what happened to police, doctors, or federal agents. Some said they were pressured. Others said they were offered money to stay quiet. The lawyers made it clear they were not stopping with one name. They planned to call out others who watched, supported, or helped the behavior. They said the names would shock the public. On October 13, 2024, the first 6 lawsuits were filed in New York federal court. Another lawyer said they had heard from around 3,000 people with claims linked to Combs. About 100 possible cases were under review. Combs' legal team pushed back. They told the BBC that he wanted to clear his name and face the truth in court. Still, on September 16, 2024, Combs was arrested and indicted in the Southern District of New York. The charges included racketeering, trafficking by force, and transporting people for prostitution. He was placed in federal custody at the correctional facility in Fort Dix. On October 10, 2024, a judge set the trial date for May 5, 2025. Bail was denied again on November 27. On April 2025, a request to delay the trial was also denied. The clock kept ticking. The trial began on May 5, 2025, starting with jury selection. By May 12th, opening statements began and witnesses took the stand. The courtroom stayed packed with attention. By June 24, both sides rested. Closing arguments followed on June 26. On July 2, 2025, after 3 days of jury talks, the verdict arrived. Combs was found guilty on 2 counts of transporting people for prostitution. He was found not guilty on racketeering and trafficking charges. Bail was denied again. Sentencing was set for October 3rd. In August, his lawyers reached out for a presidential pardon. It did not stop the outcome. On October 3rd, Combs was sentenced to 4 years in prison and 5 years of supervised release. With time already served, his release was expected in May 2028. So, why did 50 say Diddy deserved death? Let's find out. When jokes turned dark, the drama between 50 Cent and Sean Combs took another sharp twist during Combs' ongoing trafficking trial. This time, 50 claimed that his own life might be in danger. The talk started after his name came up in court, And from that moment, 50 went straight to social media with his usual loud and playful style. But the message underneath felt serious. During the trial, a woman named Capricorn Clark gave testimony. While on the stand, she said that Combs had a problem with 50 Cent. Once that detail hit the public space, 50 reacted fast. He posted online saying that the whole thing made him feel unsafe. He joked that he needed to stay low and even teased that hiding at a playoff game might be the move. The tone was playful, but the fear he hinted at caught people's attention. 50 has been locked in on the trial from day one. He watches closely, reacts quickly, and turns every new detail into content. Most of the time, he clowns Combs, flipping serious court moments into jokes for his followers. Still, he also makes it clear that he believes the situation is bad, and that Combs could end up spending a long time behind bars if things keep going the way they are. At one point, 50 shared an image made with artificial intelligence that showed Combs looking much older. Alongside it, he hinted that Combs could face decades in prison. He also suggested that people around Combs were quietly stepping away, trying to protect themselves. To 50, that silence spoke louder than words. While the trial was moving forward, another lawsuit dropped. A woman, whose name was kept private, accused Combs of violation. The claim said the incident happened in Manhattan in the early 2000s. The filing included personal details, but those details only added to the growing weight around the case. 50 reacted again, making jokes about how serious the punishment could be if Combs was found guilty. Even though the law does not allow a death sentence for the charges Combs faces, 50 still joked about extreme outcomes. His reaction came after Cassie Ventura testified against her former partner. One moment from her testimony stood out to him. Cassie explained that her manager did not have full control over her career because Combs had final say in everything. That detail pushed 50 to post again, turning the courtroom moment into another sarcastic jab. The manager mentioned in Cassie's testimony was James Cruz. Cruz had once claimed that he managed 50 Cent in the past. 50 strongly denied that story. Long before the current accusations against Combs became public, 50 had already spoken badly about Cruz. He said Cruz was never his manager and accused him of bad behavior and dishonesty. Those old insults came back into focus as Cruz's name surfaced again during the trial. 50 has also made past claims about Cruz and his relationship with Combs, throwing around serious accusations. These comments were made years ago, but fans are now digging them up again because of the trial. Whether Cruz will actually testify in court is still unknown, but his name keeps floating in the background of the case, and 50 felt like this was the right time to strike. Stay with us. When the lights came on, 50 had been saying it for years that something about Combs felt off. Not loud, not public, just a quiet feeling in his gut. He said the shine never fooled him, that behind the money and fame, there was something dark sitting there. So when Combs was arrested in September 2024, 50 moved fast. No shock, no pause. He stepped out and said his documentary was already rolling, already shaped, already heading to Netflix. It felt like he had been waiting for the door to crack open so the truth could finally breathe. The documentary did not come soft. It came heavy, packed with raw clips and stories people had never heard before. Old voices came back into the room. Faces from the past stepped forward. The whole thing felt like someone turned on the lights in a place that had stayed dark for too long. It was not flashy or loud. It was steady and real, and that made it hit harder. The second episode pushed even deeper. It was part of a larger story called Sean Combs: The Reckoning, and this chapter carried real weight. Former Bad Boy workers and past artists spoke up about what life was really like behind the scenes. They talked about the deaths of Biggie Smalls and Tupac Shakur, and the mood stayed tense the whole time. Every story pointed in the same direction, and it left viewers uneasy. Rapper Mark Curry shared his truth. Roxanne Johnson, who was once married to Craig Mack, spoke too. Bad Boy co-founder Kirk Burrows also stepped in and did not hold back. They said Combs played rough with money and pushed rivalries that turned toxic. Burrows said jealousy lived close to power and that Combs felt threatened by his own artists. He described being forced to sign away his share of the company, with a baseball bat nearby, making it clear things could turn ugly. The story then zoomed out to the East and West tension that ruled hip-hop in the late 90s. On one side was Bad Boy in New York. On the other was Death Row in California. Death Row had Dr. Dre and later Tupac. Bad Boy had Biggie, Mace, 112, and Faith Evans. People in the documentary said the artists were not the ones lighting the fire. It was the bosses in the background, and Combs was painted as one of the loudest voices feeding the flames. From there, the mess spilled into the streets. The documentary explained how gang ties got involved. The Crips were linked to Biggie, while the Bloods were connected to Suge Knight and Death Row. The story placed Combs in the middle of it all, tied through connections to people like Dwayne "Kef" D. Davis through Eric Von Zip. The picture painted was cold and dangerous, showing how music beef turned into real-life chaos. Then came the moment that shook everything again. 2 months later, CNN released hotel footage from 2016. The video showed Combs kicking Cassie in a hallway. The world stopped for a second. Shock hit hard. Confusion followed. For 50, that video felt like the last push. He had already said he was building something, and after that clip dropped, there was no turning back. 50 said he wanted space for voices that had been ignored for too long. He kept saying the truth should not fade once headlines move on. He wanted the stories to stay present, to sit with people, to be felt. He made it clear this was not about noise, it was about memory and accountability. By December 7, 2023, he announced the docuseries. He said any money made would go to people who said they were harmed. Before bringing in director Alex Stapleton, he spent 5 months searching for people close to Combs who were ready to talk. He wanted raw truth, not camera-ready stories. No polish, no filters, just real voices from real moments. Netflix made it official on September 25th, 2024. That was only 1 week after Combs was arrested on serious charges. Everything seemed to fall apart at once. The series was described as deeper than headlines, stretching across years and showing sides of a life people never saw. Not everyone joined. Cassie was invited, but chose not to take part. That silence spoke loud. It made people wonder what she carried and why staying away felt safer. When the series dropped, reactions came fast. Critics leaned positive. Metacritic scored it 67 out of 100 from 5 critics. The Guardian gave it 4 stars out of 5 and said the mask finally slipped. They said even with missing pieces, the show did enough to change how people see the story. What made the doc sweet was not just the drama, it was the calm pace. It walked through truth step by step. And through it all, you could feel 50 trying to give lost voices a place to finally be heard.